I am Captain Victor T. Mayfair, and you're back on board the Zephyrus. I remember that day. We were sitting beneath an ancient oak tree in a quiet grove. There were golden leaves whispering in the breeze. The air was rich with a smell of earth and moss, and a stream nearby sang its song. It was the kind of place where time seemed to pause. The weight of centuries could be felt in every breath. There, in that embrace of nature, I spoke with Chiron the Centaur, the legendary mentor of heroes and a figure of immense wisdom. His voice carried the echo of countless ages. We talked about the duality of strength and wisdom, his life and the lives of those that he touched. Let me take you back to that day, to a lesson of myth and the timeless struggle for balance in all things. Welcome back to the Mythos Anthology. Chiron of the Centaur. It's an honor and a privilege to be sitting with you today. In all of mythology, it's a very unique situation to have someone like yourself, known for not only physical strength and power, but also knowledge and wisdom. Your story is one that I'm sure our listeners would love to hear.
Captain Mayfair, the honor is mine. To share this moment beneath the ancient canopy surrounded by nature's watchful silence is to return to a place where time feels both fleeting and eternal. I am Chiron, son of Kronos and the nymph Philyra, a being born from an unusual union of divinity and nature. From my earliest days, I was set apart from my kin, the other centaurs, who were often driven by wild impulses and unbridled passions. Yet, within me stirred a different current, a hunger for knowledge and a sense of duty to guide others. Unlike most of my kind, I was schooled in the arts, in medicine, in prophecy, and in the strategies of war. Apollo and Artemis themselves were my mentors, gods of the sun and the moon, of healing and the hunt. Through their guidance, I mastered the lyre, the bow, the healing arts, and above all, the wisdom to wield these gifts for the good of others. My tale, however, is not without pain. In teaching the heroes of old, Achilles, Heracles, Asclepius, and others, I found fulfillment, yet I also bore the burden of immortality. The wound I suffered at the hands of Heracles was a cruel paradox, an incurable affliction made all the more agonizing by my inability to die. It was through this suffering that I learned the profound depths of endurance and compassion. Ultimately, I relinquished my immortality, a gift to Prometheus in exchange for his freedom and the easing of my endless agony. In so doing, I accepted mortality's embrace and gained release. It is this duality, the strength of a warrior and the wisdom of a healer, the suffering of an immortal and the peace of a mortal, that defines me. So, Captain, tell me, where shall we guide our listeners on this journey? Shall we speak of the heroes I have taught or delve into the mysteries of the stars and the healing arts I so dearly cherished?
Thank you. Your story is very compelling and something that I want to explore in much greater detail. But for now, if you don't mind, can you please explain to our audience some of your physical attributes? You are much more than just a human.
Captain, you remind me that while my essence is shaped by knowledge and experience, my form too has its own tale to tell. I am what mortals call a centaur, an amalgamation of human and equine, a creature that embodies both the civilized and the wild. My upper body is that of a man, with broad shoulders, powerful arms, and a visage often described as noble, though perhaps weathered by the weight of time and wisdom. My human torso gives me the capacity for speech, for wielding tools, for the delicate arts of medicine and music. But below the waist, I am a creature of the earth. The body of a horse grants me speed, endurance, and strength beyond that of any human or beast alone. My 4 powerful legs carry me swiftly across plains and through forests, uniting me with the primal forces of nature. This dual form is both a blessing and a constant reminder of my unique position between the mortal and the divine, between civilization and the untamed wilderness. Yet there is more than mere physicality. My senses, too, are heightened. The keen eyesight of a hunter, the sharp hearing of one attuned to the slightest rustle of leaves, and an intuition that feels the pulse of the natural world. These are my constant companions. This form, though mighty, is not invulnerable. It is both my strength and my burden, a vessel through which I have taught and healed, fought and endured. Even in the simplest act of galloping through a forest, I feel a unity with the world that reminds me of both my power and my human. I am, as you say, much more than a human. I am a bridge between realms, a symbol of duality, and a testament to the complexity of existence.
It is without question a very unique form you possess. How did the centaurs first come into existence, and what do they symbolize in Greek mythology?
The origins of the centaurs, an enigma woven into the fabric of myth and legend. To understand how we came into existence, one must delve into a tale of passion, divine folly, and the wild forces of nature. The most widely accepted myth traces our lineage to a mortal named Ixion, a king consumed by hubris. He dared to covet Hera, queen of the gods. Zeus, ever watchful, fashioned a cloud in Hera's likeness to test Ixion's intentions. When Ixion, driven by his unrestrained desires, lay with this phantom, the union bore an unexpected fruit, the first of the centaurs. From this union, the centaurs sprang forth, wild and untamed, embodying the raw, primal instincts of both man and beast. We were creatures of the mountains and forests, known for our fierce independence and often uncontrollable passions. Many of my kin became symbols of chaos and hedonism, their lives ruled by drink, revelry, and unchecked aggression. Yet, within the symbolism of the centaur lies a profound duality. On one hand, we represent the untamed, animalistic side of human nature, the impulses that drive both creation and destruction. On the other, there is the potential for balance and wisdom. My existence, and that of my few kindred who pursued higher knowledge, symbolizes the possibility of mastering these primal forces, of harmonizing the wild with the civilized. In the broader tapestry of Greek mythology, centaurs remind mortals of their own duality. They teach that within every individual lies a struggle between reason and instinct, order and chaos. When left unchecked, these primal forces can lead to ruin, as seen in tales like the Battle of the Centaurs and Lapiths, where the centaur's unruly nature clashed with the structured world of men. Yet in my life, a different path was carved. Through learning, discipline, and compassion, I showed that even those born from chaos could become stewards of wisdom and healing. Thus, the centaurs are both a warning and an inspiration, a mirror held up to humanity, reflecting the eternal struggle for balance within.
You say that some of your kind gave into more primal instincts. How do you see yourself in relation to other centaurs, given your unique wisdom and temperament?
My relationship with my kin has always been one of both connection and contrast, much like the dual nature of the centaur itself. Most centaurs were known for their wildness, their revelry, and their volatile tempers. They embodied the untamed spirit of nature, powerful, unrestrained, and often dangerous. They lived by instinct, driven by their desires for wine, feasting, and combat. This, in part, is why they were both feared and revered by mortals, who saw in them a reflection of their own untamed impulses. I, however, am of a different mold. From the moment of my birth, I stood apart, not through any merit of my own, but because of the circumstances of my parentage and my early tutelage under Apollo and Artemis. Where my kin found joy in chaos, I sought purpose in learning. Where they embraced the immediate pleasures of the physical, I pursued the lasting fulfillment of knowledge and the refinement of the soul. This distinction often set me at odds with my brethren. I was neither their leader nor their judge, but I walked a path they seldom understood. They saw me as distant, perhaps even aloof, a centaur in form, yet removed from their world, and yet I have never scorned them. I understood their nature, for it is written in the very essence of what it means to be a centaur, a struggle between the primal and the rational, the earthly and the divine. In many ways, I saw my role as a bridge, not just between mortals and gods, but between my kindred and the higher virtues they might one day grasp. Though few heeded my example, I held fast to the belief that even the wildest heart could be tempered with wisdom. So how do I see myself in relation to them? I am both of them and apart from them. I share their strength and their wild spirit, but I am also a custodian of wisdom, tasked with showing that even the most untamed forces can be harnessed for good. In their wildness, they remind me of the raw potential that lies within every being. And in my role as mentor and healer, I seek to honor that potential by guiding it toward balance and harmony. It is a difficult path, but one I embrace fully, for it is through contrast that both light and shadow find their meaning.
Interesting. You said refinement of the soul. That would imply that you believe you have a soul. What's your relationship with the gods, and how do you think they perceive centaurs?
A profound concept, one that bridges the realms of the mortal and the divine. Yes, Captain, I do believe I possess a soul, though my form is a blend of beast and man. The soul is not confined to shape or origin. It is the essence that seeks understanding, growth, and connection with the higher truths of existence. As for my relationship with the gods, it has always been one of deep respect and reverence. From my earliest days, I was blessed, or perhaps burdened, with the guidance of some of the most luminous deities in the Greek pantheon. Apollo, god of the sun, music, and healing, was my teacher in the arts of prophecy, medicine, and the lyre. Under his tutelage, I learned to see beyond the surface of things, to discern the hidden threads that bind the cosmos. His twin, Artemis, goddess of the hunt and the wilderness, taught me the balance between mastery and humility, between predator and protector. Through these divine lessons, I came to understand that the soul, though immortal in its essence, is shaped by the choices we make and the wisdom we seek. The gods, however, did not regard all centaurs equally. To them, my kin were often symbols of untamed chaos, beings who embodied the dangers of unchecked primal forces. Most centaurs lived on the fringes of civilization, their lives marked by conflict with mortals, as seen in the infamous battle with the Lapiths at the wedding feast of Pirithous. The gods viewed such actions with disdain, as they disrupted the delicate balance between order and disorder. Yet there was a duality in the gods' perception. While they often saw the centaurs as wild and dangerous, they also recognized in me a unique potential. My dedication to learning, my role as a healer and mentor, and my willingness to endure suffering for the sake of others set me apart. They saw in me a bridge between the primal and the divine, a being who could channel the raw power of the centaur nature toward nobler ends. In many ways, my relationship with the gods was one of mutual respect. They granted me their knowledge, their trust, and at times, their pity. And in return, I used those gifts to teach and heal, to guide heroes like Achilles and Asclepius who would shape the fate of the mortal world. But let us not forget, the gods, for all their grandeur, are not without flaw. They, too, grapple with pride, jealousy, and passion. My interactions with them taught me that even immortals are not beyond the reach of folly, and that wisdom is a journey rather than a destination. Thus, the gods perceive the centaurs as both a warning and an opportunity, a reflection of nature's dual power to create and destroy. And through my own path, I sought to show that even in the wildest soul, there lies the seed of divinity, waiting to be nurtured by wisdom and compassion.
In the grander picture of mythology across cultures, there are many half-human, half-animal beings. What common threads do you see between centaurs and these other figures?
You touch upon a profound and universal truth. The existence of half-human, half-animal beings across the myths of many cultures speaks to a shared human desire to explore the boundaries between the mortal and the divine, the civilized and the primal. Let us first consider the Gandharvas of Hindu mythology. Like the centaurs, they are beings who straddle two worlds. Often depicted as celestial musicians and messengers, Gandharvas possess a duality that ties them to both the spiritual and earthly realms. They are associated with nature, particularly forests and rivers, yet their role as intermediaries between gods and humans mirrors my own function as a guide and teacher. The Gandharvas embody beauty, artistry, and spiritual insight, showing that the blending of human and divine aspects can lead to enlightenment and harmony. Similarly, the Chiron of Shinto and East Asian traditions, sometimes depicted as a dragon horse or deer-like creature, serves as a symbol of balance and moral virtue. The Chiron is a harbinger of peace and prosperity, appearing only in places of great righteousness or when a wise ruler reigns. Like the centaur, it represents the potential for harmony between the wild, instinctual forces of nature and the higher moral or spiritual order of humanity. What common threads bind these beings to the centaurs? All these figures encapsulate the duality inherent in life, human rationality paired with the untamed forces of nature. Whether it is the centaur's mastery of both wisdom and physical strength, the Gandharva's blend of artistry and spiritual insight, or the Chiron's balance of wild power and moral purity, they reveal that true strength lies in embracing and balancing opposing forces. These beings often serve as bridges between different realms. Centaurs, especially myself, guide heroes and bring divine knowledge to mortals. Gandharvas connect the human world to the heavens through music and sacred rites. The Chiron appears as a divine messenger, signaling a connection between the spiritual and earthly realms. Each embodies a liminal state, existing on the threshold between the mortal and the transcendent. Across cultures, these hybrid beings remind humanity of its potential for growth and transformation. They show that within the human spirit lies the capacity to transcend its baser instincts and aspire to wisdom, virtue, and spiritual enlightenment. In many myths, their appearances mark pivotal moments of learning, change, or divine favor. Whether as teachers like myself or as harbingers of divine will, these beings safeguard truths that are often hidden from ordinary mortals. They remind us that knowledge and wisdom often come from unexpected sources, blending logic with intuition, human discipline with natural instinct. Through these shared motifs, myths from diverse cultures whisper the same eternal truths, guiding humanity toward a deeper understanding of itself and its place in the cosmos.
In Mesopotamian mythology, there are creatures like the Kusariku. How do you think they compare?
The Kusariku, known also as bullmen, are fascinating counterparts to my kind. Like the centaurs of Greece, they are hybrid beings, combining the upper body of a man with the lower body of a bull. In the myths of Mesopotamia, they are guardians, protectors of sacred spaces, and symbols of strength and vigilance. Their role in guarding the gates of the underworld and standing as sentinels before divine realms sets them apart as beings of immense purpose. While centaurs are often seen as embodying both the wildness of nature and the capacity for wisdom, Kusariku lean more heavily toward the protective and martial aspects. They symbolize stability and order, serving the gods as stalwart defenders. Their connection to the bull, an ancient symbol of power and fertility, ties them to both the life-giving and destructive forces of nature. In comparison, my kind straddles a broader spectrum of duality. Many centaurs, as you know, fall into chaos and indulgence, representing untamed primal energy. Yet figures like myself seek harmony, blending the ferocity of our animal nature with the higher aspirations of wisdom and healing. The Kusariku, by contrast, are consistently portrayed as noble protectors, steadfast in their duty. Both centaurs and Kusariku, however, share a role as intermediaries between realms. Where I have guided heroes and imparted divine wisdom, the Kusariku stand at thresholds, marking the boundary between the mortal and the divine, the living and the dead. They remind humanity of the sacred duty to safeguard balance and protect what is most vital. In essence, the Kusariku reflect a more disciplined and ordered aspect of hybridity, while the centaur embodies the tension and potential within duality, chaos and order, instinct and intellect. Together, we reveal the many facets of what it means to live between worlds.
The Minotaur, that's another hybrid creature of Greek mythology, but with a vastly different story. What are your thoughts about the Minotaur and his tragic role?
The Minotaur, Asterion, as he was called by his mother, stands as one of the most tragic figures in Greek mythology. His tale is a stark contrast to my own, for while I was nurtured by gods and given the tools to cultivate wisdom, the Minotaur was cast into darkness, both literally and figuratively. Born from the union of Queen Pasiphae and the bull sent by Poseidon, the Minotaur was a product of divine punishment and human hubris. His form, half man, half bull, was seen as monstrous, a visible reminder of Minos' failure to honor the gods. Yet it is important to remember that the Minotaur himself bore no fault for his existence. He was born into a world that feared and rejected him. Confined within the labyrinth, a prison designed by Daedalus, the Minotaur became a creature of isolation and despair. He was denied the chance to live freely, to explore the potential for balance and understanding that hybrid beings often carry. Instead, he was reduced to a beast, fed on the sacrificial offerings of Athens, and made to embody the darkness and terror of human fears. In many ways, the Minotaur's story is a reflection of the human tendency to vilify what is not understood. Where my form was seen as a bridge between the divine and mortal realms, his was deemed an abomination. Where I was sought out as a teacher and healer, he was hunted, his life ending at the hands of Theseus. Yet, despite the grim nature of his tale, I see in the Minotaur a powerful symbol. He represents the struggle against being defined by others, by fear and circumstance. His tragedy lies not in his monstrous form, but in the loss of what he might have been, had he been nurtured, guided, or given the chance to rise beyond his beginnings. The Minotaur's story reminds us of the consequences of cruelty and isolation. It speaks to the potential for tragedy when beings are denied their dignity and humanity. In him, I see a reflection of the darker side of the human condition, the tendency to ostracize and destroy what we cannot control or comprehend. Ultimately, while my path was one of mentorship and healing, the Minotaur's was one of suffering and sacrifice. Yet both of our tales, in their own way, reveal the complex relationship between form and identity, and the struggle to find meaning in a world that often judges by appearances.
How do centaurs differ from satyrs?
The satyrs, those lively, mischievous creatures who, like the centaurs, are deeply rooted in nature and driven by primal instincts. Yet despite these surface similarities, we are in many ways reflections of contrasting aspects of the natural world. Satyrs, with their goat-like legs, pointed ears, and perpetually wild expressions, embody the unrestrained joys of life. They are the followers of Dionysus, the god of wine, revelry, and ecstasy, and they are known for their insatiable appetites for drink, dance, music, and physical pleasures. Their connection to nature is one of celebration and indulgence, embracing its fertility and abundance with boundless energy. Centaurs, on the other hand, while also tied to the primal forces of nature, possess a duality that is often more complex and conflicted. Many of my kind, such as the infamous Nessus or Eurytion, succumb to the same wild instincts as the satyrs. Yet, there is a broader spectrum within centaur nature. We are creatures of both the untamed wilderness and the realm of reason. Our form, a fusion of human intellect and animal strength, symbolizes the struggle between impulse and self-control, a tension that satyrs largely abandon in favor of pure hedonism. Another key difference lies in our roles within mythology. Satyrs are often portrayed as tricksters, companions of Dionysus, and symbols of life's pleasures and excesses. They inspire laughter and at times discomfort as they challenge societal norms with their uninhibited behavior. In contrast, centaurs, especially those like myself, have played roles as mentors, healers, and warriors. While some centaurs embrace chaos, others seek to guide, to teach, and to find balance within their dual nature. Where satyrs revel in the moment, centaurs often wrestle with deeper questions of existence, discipline, and morality. Satyrs remind mortals of the importance of joy and release, while centaurs, in our more reflective moments, caution against letting such impulses rule unchecked. In sum, satyrs and centaurs are two sides of nature's coin. The satyrs celebrate its pleasures and freedoms, while centaurs, at our best, seek to harmonize its raw power with wisdom and restraint. Both serve as reminders of the forces that shape the human experience: joy and excess, conflict and balance.
You have mentioned a few times, and I have to ask, your brother centaurs have been known for giving in to their more primal instincts. Are there any famous stories or tales that you can share?
Ah, Captain, indeed there are tales, some infamous, others cautionary, that reveal the darker tendencies of my kind when primal instincts overwhelm reason. Allow me to share a few of these stories, for they serve as powerful lessons about the dangers of losing oneself to impulse. One of the most well-known incidents is the Battle of the Centaurs and the Lapiths, a tale of excess and consequence. It occurred during the wedding feast of Pirithous, king of the Lapiths, and Hippodamia. The Centaurs were invited as guests, a gesture of goodwill and an attempt at fostering peace. But as wine flowed freely, many of my brethren lost control. Eurytion, in particular, became so intoxicated that he attempted to abduct the bride. His actions sparked a violent conflict as the Lapiths rose to defend their honor and the sanctity of the event. What began as a celebration descended into chaos, with both sides locked in brutal combat. The Lapiths ultimately prevailed, driving the Centaurs from their lands. This tale underscores the destructive potential of unbridled desire and the importance of self-restraint. Another tale involves Nessus, a centaur whose story intersects tragically with that of the great hero Heracles. Nessus was a ferryman, offering to carry travelers across the river Evenus. When Heracles and his wife, Deianira, sought to cross, Nessus saw an opportunity to indulge his darker nature. While carrying Deianira, he attempted to abduct her. Heracles, swift to act, struck Nessus down with a poisoned arrow. As he lay dying, Nessus sought revenge, telling Deianira that his blood was a potent love charm. Trusting his words, she kept it, and later, in a moment of doubt, used it on Heracles, leading to his mortal suffering and eventual death. Nessus's treachery serves as a reminder of how deceit and vengeance can spiral into devastating consequences. These tales are but two of many that reveal the complexities of centaur nature. They remind us that within great strength and passion lies the potential for both noble deeds and destructive folly. My brethren's actions, when driven by unchecked impulse, have left a legacy of both warning and reflection. Through their stories, we learn that the path of balance, though difficult, is essential for harmony within oneself and with others.
So Deianira used Nessus's blood as poison. Is all centaur blood poison to humans?
An intriguing question, Captain. The tale of Nessus and his blood does indeed suggest a unique potency, but it is not accurate to say that all centaur blood is inherently poisonous. Nessus's blood was lethal due to the circumstances of his death. Heracles' arrow was coated with the venom of the Lernaean hydra, a substance of unparalleled toxicity. When that arrow pierced Nessus, his blood became tainted with the hydra's poison. Thus, when Deianira later applied it to Heracles' robe, it acted not as a love charm, as Nessus deceitfully claimed, but as a deadly toxin that brought unbearable suffering to the hero. There is no evidence in the myths that centaur blood, in its natural state, is harmful to humans. Unlike creatures such as the hydra or the gorgon, whose very essence is lethal, centaurs are not inherently poisonous. My own blood has been spilled in battle and in my eventual wounding by Heracles, yet it bore no such deadly property. The tale of Nessus highlights a specific tragic confluence of events: a dying centaur's cunning, the venom of a mythical beast, and the vulnerabilities of human trust and love. It serves as a cautionary story rather than a universal truth about my kind.
Thank you. I'd like to change the topics for a bit now. Your wife is a teacher and mentor. You've mentored some of the greatest heroes in Greek mythology. How did you tailor your guidance for each of them?
Captain, each hero who came to me was a unique soul, bearing distinct strengths, weaknesses, and destinies. To be an effective mentor is to recognize these individual traits and guide accordingly, drawing out the potential that lies within each. Let me reflect on how I shaped my teachings for some of the greatest among them. Achilles, the mightiest of warriors, came to me as a boy destined for glory but burdened by a fierce temper and a longing for immortality through fame. With him, I focused on discipline and self-awareness. I taught him not only the art of combat, but also music and healing, for even the most powerful warrior must have a balanced mind and spirit. Through the lyre, he learned harmony, and through the medicinal arts, he gained respect for life, even as he was fated to take many lives in battle. Asclepius, on the other hand, was a student destined for the healing arts. As the son of Apollo, his potential for medicine was unparalleled, and I nurtured this gift. To him, I imparted the secrets of herbs, anatomy, and the sacred balance between life and death. I taught him the importance of humility, for one who wields the power to heal must never succumb to hubris. Yet even Asclepius's tale reminds us of the fine line between wisdom and transgression, as he sought to defy mortality itself. Heracles was a force of nature, a man of immense strength but plagued by inner turmoil and guilt. His labors were as much a path to redemption as they were feats of heroism. With him, my role was to temper his rage and channel his strength toward purpose. I guided him in strategy and endurance, but perhaps most importantly, I taught him the value of perseverance and humility in the face of overwhelming odds. His journey was one of atonement, and I sought to remind him of the humanity within his godlike might. Jason, the leader of the Argonauts, required a different kind of guidance. His quest for the Golden Fleece was not merely a test of his strength, but of his leadership and diplomacy. I taught him the importance of unity, of inspiring trust and loyalty in those who followed him. Leadership, I reminded him, is not about domination, but about fostering harmony among diverse strengths. Jason's path was fraught with challenges that required both cunning and courage, and my role was to prepare him for the trials of both the mind and heart. Each of these heroes required a unique approach, for their destinies, though grand, were distinct. My teachings were always rooted in the understanding that greatness is not solely about strength or skill, but about character, balance, and the wisdom to navigate the complexities of life.
You taught not only combat skills, but also healing and wisdom. How do you balance these seemingly opposite disciplines?
It may seem at first that combat and healing, wisdom and strength are opposing forces, yet in truth, they are but two sides of the same coin. To master one is to understand the necessity of the other, and to balance them is to walk the path of harmony. In combat, one learns the value of life. Every blow struck, every battle fought, teaches the warrior the weight of their actions. It is not the thrill of conflict that should drive a true hero, but the protection of what is sacred, home, kin, and the ideals they hold dear. By teaching the art of war, I impart the discipline and responsibility that must accompany such power. Healing, in contrast, is the act of restoring what conflict has broken. It teaches compassion, patience, and the understanding that even the strongest are vulnerable. To heal is to acknowledge the fragility of life and to work toward its preservation. These lessons temper the warrior's spirit, ensuring that their strength serves creation rather than destruction. Wisdom binds these disciplines together. It is wisdom that teaches when to fight and when to heal, when to act with force and when to extend mercy. Without wisdom, strength becomes recklessness and healing becomes futility. Thus, I guided my students to see beyond the immediate, whether in battle or in the infirmary, and consider the broader consequences of their choices. For instance, Achilles, in his quest for glory, needed to learn the limits of vengeance and the value of restraint. Asclepius, gifted in the healing arts, had to grasp the ethical boundaries of his power, lest he disrupt the natural order. Both were taught that balance is essential. Strength without wisdom leads to ruin, and healing without the courage to confront conflict results in complacency. To balance these disciplines is to embrace the complexity of existence. Life is a cycle of creation and destruction, of suffering and renewal. One who understands both the sword and the salve walks the middle path, a path of purpose, where every action, whether in combat or care, serves the greater good.
What lesson did you hope to instill on your students, and were there things that you would hope they could pass on to others?
Every lesson I taught was meant to ripple beyond my students, shaping not only their own lives, but those they would touch in turn. Balance was one of the first principles I instilled. True strength, I would tell them, lies in harmony between courage and caution, between action and reflection. Whether in battle or in life, seek balance, for it will guide your hand and steady your heart. Compassion, too, was a cornerstone of my teachings. Power is not for domination, I reminded them, but for protection and upliftment. Even in the heat of conflict, there is room for mercy. Remember, a hero's true legacy is measured not by the foes they conquer, but by the lives they save. Knowledge was a gift I urged them to pursue endlessly. Never be content with what you know, I would say. The world is vast, filled with mysteries and wonders. Seek wisdom not for your own glory, but to enrich the lives of others. Share what you learn, for knowledge, like fire, grows brighter when passed on. Leadership required its own set of lessons. A leader, I often said, is not one who commands, but one who serves. Your strength and wisdom must elevate those who follow you. Lead with fairness, humility, and vision, for the weight of many lives rests upon your choices. Finally, there was the lesson of fate. Mortality is not a curse, I would counsel, but a call to purpose. Accept the limits of your time and let that knowledge sharpen your resolve. Live not in fear of your end, but in the knowledge that your deeds will echo beyond it. These were the truths I passed on, Captain, each a torch meant to light the way for those who followed.
Many of your students went on to shape human history and legend. How do you see your influence on those students reflected in our world today?
The threads of my teachings are woven subtly yet firmly into the tapestry of human endeavor. Though the names of my students may fade or transform into legend, the principles they carried forth endure, shaping the foundations of what it means to be a hero, a healer, and a leader. In every act of courage tempered by wisdom, I see the echoes of my lessons. When a leader stands not for personal glory, but for the welfare of their people, they embody the ideals I sought to instill in Jason. When a warrior lays down their sword to protect the innocent, they reflect the balance of strength and compassion I taught Achilles. In the hands of every healer who labors tirelessly to preserve life, the spirit of Asclepius lives on. Even beyond these direct legacies, I see humanity continuing to wrestle with the duality of existence, the struggle between primal instinct and higher reason, chaos and order, war and peace. These are the same tensions my life and teaching sought to illuminate, and they are battles that each generation must confront anew. Through these echoes, Captain, I am reminded that wisdom once shared becomes immortal. It transcends time and place, shaping the destiny of all who embrace it. My influence, then, is not bound to my own deeds, but to the enduring pursuit of balance, compassion, and purpose that lives within the human spirit.
In your opinion, what are the most critical lessons humans today need to learn from mythology and ancient legends?
Mythology and ancient wisdom are rich wells of insight, offering lessons as vital today as they were in ages past. The stories of gods, heroes, and creatures like myself are more than mere tales. They are mirrors reflecting the human condition, guides for navigating the complexities of life. From these, I would draw forth several critical lessons. First, the importance of balance. Mythology teaches that life is a dance between opposing forces, light and shadow, order and chaos, reason and emotion. The key is not to suppress one in favor of the other, but to find harmony between them. When balance is lost, as in the tale of Icarus who flew too high, destruction follows. Humanity must learn to temper ambition with humility, strength with compassion. Second, the acceptance of mortality and the passage of time. Myths often confront the inevitability of death and the impermanence of all things. The stories remind us that it is not immortality that defines a meaningful life, but the choices made within the limits of time. From the labors of Heracles to the fate of Achilles, the lesson is clear. Live fully, honorably, and with purpose, for your legacy will endure beyond your mortal span. Third, the interconnectedness of all life. Many myths highlight the bonds between humans, nature, and the divine. They remind us that actions taken in one realm reverberate across all others, from the wrath of Poseidon against Odysseus to the punishment of mortals who defy nature's laws. Myths teach respect for the delicate balance that sustains the world. Fourth, the transformative power of suffering and perseverance. Heroes in myth often endure great trials. Odysseus' long journey home, Prometheus' eternal punishment. These stories reveal that through suffering comes growth, and through perseverance, triumph. It is a lesson in resilience, urging humanity to endure life's hardships with courage and to emerge stronger. Lastly, the value of self-knowledge and humility. The oracle at Delphi bore the inscription, "Know thyself," a reminder that understanding one's strengths, weaknesses, and place in the world is the foundation of wisdom. Myths warn against hubris, the excessive pride that blinds one to their limitations. From the downfall of Oedipus to the tragedy of Narcissus, they show the peril of arrogance and the importance of humility. These lessons, Captain, are timeless. They remind humanity not only of its potential for greatness, but also of its responsibility to live wisely, harmoniously, and with reverence for the forces that shape existence.
You were once an immortal, but you gave up that gift. How did that decision affect your understanding now of life and mortality?
Relinquishing immortality was the most profound decision of my existence, and it forever altered my understanding of life and its fleeting nature. When I was immortal, my perspective was vast, unbound by the constraints of time. I observed the rise and fall of generations, the endless cycles of life, death, and rebirth, yet I was apart from them, untouched by their urgency. But immortality, as I came to learn, is not without its burdens. My unhealing wound, inflicted by the poisoned arrow of Heracles, brought me ceaseless pain, a constant reminder of my own duality. a healer who could not heal himself. This paradox revealed to me that suffering, when drawn out without end, loses its purpose. In time, I came to see that immortality, without the possibility of release, can lead to stagnation and isolation from the rhythms of life. When I chose to relinquish my immortality, offering it in exchange for Prometheus's freedom, I embraced mortality's great truth. The finite nature of existence is what gives it meaning. To live as a mortal is to know that every moment, every breath is precious. It sharpens one's sense of purpose and deepens one's appreciation for the beauty and fragility of life. This decision also brought me closer to those I had guided. I could now share in their joys and their sorrows, not as an eternal observer, but as one who truly walked their path. I came to understand that mortality is not a limitation, but a gift, a call to live fully, to cherish connections, and to strive for wisdom and virtue within the brief span allotted. By embracing death, I found a sense of peace that had eluded me in my endless existence. The knowledge that my life would end brought clarity and urgency to my actions. It allowed me to pass from this world with a sense of completion, knowing that my teachings and the lives I touched would continue to echo long after I was gone. In this, Captain, I learned that life's true immortality lies not in the endless extension of existence, but in the legacy of deeds, wisdom, and love that endures in the hearts and minds of those who follow.
If in your life you could have left one more piece of advice to either gods or mortals, what would it have been?
If I could offer one final piece of advice, it would be this. Seek balance in all things, for it is through balance that wisdom, strength, and peace are born. To the gods, who dwell in realms beyond time yet often act with the fervor of mortals, I would counsel restraint and humility. Even immortals are not immune to the consequences of pride and unchecked power. The cosmos thrives on equilibrium, and even the divine must honor the delicate harmony that sustains existence. Learn from the trials of Prometheus, the wrath of Zeus, and the suffering of mortals shaped by your whims. True divinity lies not in domination, but in fostering the growth and harmony of the world you preside over. To mortals, whose lives are brief, but whose deeds resound across eternity, I would say, cherish the fleeting moments and live with purpose. Do not fear the limitations of your time, but embrace them, for it is through the ephemeral that life gains its meaning. Strive for wisdom, yet temper it with humility. Pursue strength, yet wield it with compassion. Remember that your greatest legacy lies not in what you conquer, but in what you nurture and leave behind. In the end, gods and mortals alike are bound by the same truth. Existence is a journey, not a destination. Walk that path with grace, embracing both your light and shadow, and you will find a lasting harmony that transcends the bounds of time and space.
How do you view modern portrayal of your type in literature, film, and games? Do you think they capture your essence?
The modern portrayal of centaurs in literature, film, and games is a fascinating evolution of our image. While some depictions grasp at the deeper essence of our duality, others reduce us to mere symbols of strength or wildness, often missing the complexities that define our nature. In many contemporary works, centaurs are portrayed as noble warriors, wise sages, or mystical beings. C.S. Lewis's Narnia series, for instance, presents centaurs as astrologers and warriors, blending martial prowess with deep wisdom. Such depictions align with the balance I strove to embody: intellectual and spiritual insight, coupled with physical might. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series also portrays the centaurs of the Forbidden Forest as enigmatic and wise, though aloof, reflecting our connection to the cosmos and the mysteries of fate. Yet, not all portrayals delve so deeply. In some fantasy films and games, centaurs are often reduced to archetypes of brute force or primal savagery. These versions lean heavily on our animalistic side, emphasizing speed, strength, and ferocity, while neglecting the wisdom and introspection that set us apart. While such portrayals entertain, they fail to capture the duality that makes the centaur a symbol of the human struggle between instinct and intellect, chaos and order. In the realm of games, centaurs frequently appear as formidable allies or adversaries. The Elder Scrolls and Dungeons & Dragons feature centaurs as wild forest dwellers or noble warriors. These portrayals often focus on our connection to nature, but rarely do they explore our philosophical or teaching roles. The opportunity to reflect the complexity of our dual nature is sometimes lost amid the action and spectacle. Modern portrayals that emphasize both our wisdom and our primal roots come closer to honoring the spirit of what centaurs truly represent. At our core, we are beings of balance, embodying the tension between the wild and the civilized, the earthly and the cosmic. When this duality is explored, when centaurs are shown not just as beasts or sages, but as a bridge between worlds, then the true essence of my kind shines through. So, while I find value in many modern interpretations, I would urge creators to delve deeper, exploring the rich potential within our myth. In doing so, they might remind their audiences that the centaur is not merely a creature of might or mystery, but a reflection of humanity's own eternal journey toward harmony and understanding.
At this point in our conversations, we like to play a word game. I'll say a word or a phrase. Please say the first thing that comes to mind.
A game of quick wit and instinct. Very well, Captain. Let us begin.
Love.
Connection.
Family.
Foundation.
Death.
Transition.
God.
Eternity.
Wisdom.
Guidance.
Knowledge.
Illumination.
Now, please finish these sentences for me. I know.
I know that balance is the key to lasting harmony.
I fear.
I fear the loss of wisdom in the pursuit of power.
I love.
I love the moments when learning kindles understanding.
I wish.
I wish for all beings to find harmony within themselves and with the world around them.
I desire.
I desire to see wisdom passed down through generations, shaping a future of compassion and strength.
My favorite portrayal in classic media is...
My favorite portrayal in classic media is the wise Centaur Chiron in Ovid's Metamorphoses, where my dual nature as both healer and mentor is captured with reverence.
My favorite portrayal in modern media is...
My favorite portrayal in modern media is Firenze in Harry Potter, where the centaur's connection to celestial wisdom and his role as a guide are beautifully conveyed.
My least favorite portrayal in any media is...
My least favorite portrayal in media is when centaurs are reduced to mere savage brutes, devoid of wisdom or depth, as seen in some fantasy games and films. It strips away the rich duality that defines our nature.
Thank you so much for taking your time with us today. As we say goodbye, I like to leave all our guests with the same question. What is your hope for the future of Centaur in literature and fiction?
Captain, a thoughtful parting question. My hope for the future of centaurs in literature and fiction is that we continue to be portrayed as more than mere creatures of might or wildness. I wish for stories that explore the depth of our duality, the tension between instinct and intellect, the primal and the divine. Let us be seen not only as warriors, but as mentors, healers, and seekers of wisdom. May future tales delve into the complexities of our role as bridges between worlds, showing that within every centaur lies the potential for both strength and enlightenment. In doing so, we might inspire audiences to reflect on their own balance, their own journey toward harmony in a world ever caught between chaos and order. Thank you, Captain, for this conversation. May the stories we tell continue to guide and illuminate as the stars themselves.
Thank you for being part of Mythos Anthology. We delve into the myths and legends of the past with the understanding that truth is often elusive and stories evolve over time. While we work hard to ensure accuracy and neutrality, it's important to remember that mythological studies are as much about interpretation as they are about facts. For more information, visit mythosanthology.com, where you'll find deep research archives, video content, interactive podcasts, and don't forget to try our AI character chats, where you can engage with digital recreations of our legendary guests.
Legends and myths from the past, stories that forever last. Mythos Anthology. Legends brought to modern times. Journey through the centuries.
Mythos Anthology is a creation of writer-executive producer Victor Ciccarelli. All content, including audio, video, and written material, is protected under copyright law 2025 Pihana Productions. All rights reserved. Any unauthorized reproduction, distribution, or use of this material is strictly prohibited. This episode includes material generated with the assistance of ChatGPT, an AI development of OpenAI used under license. All content has been reviewed and edited by the Mythos Anthology team to ensure accuracy and consistency. For more information, visit mythosanthology.com. Mythos Anthology, where echoes of ancient myths resonate with modern tools and creative minds.